Hi, Beth.
Hello.
It's lovely to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Obviously, I follow you on social media.
Yeah.
You used to own the shop. Is it Da Vinci?
Yeah.
Do you do that online?
Yeah.
You do that online now, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do it online. I've had the shop for 12 years and then just wanted to take a bit of a different direction. I've done it for that long, never done anything else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I just thought, I had my son 2 years ago and it's just a bit too much to juggle all at once.
Yeah, it is.
Trying to get to a shop, trying to be there at set hours, you know, always being on the phone when I'm not even there, you know.
It's constant.
If somebody else is working in shop, I'm still getting phone calls, I'm still, you know. So I just decided to go online, yeah. So and that's only been over 3 months online. So yeah.
So did you just sort of like think, I'm going to take some time out to be a mum?
Yeah.
Or
I felt like it was just like I were ready, you know, like all my customers and that have seen me through my whole journey of what I've been through in my life and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, they've got me through and stuff. But then I just thought, do you know what? It's just my time I just need to step back a bit. I feel like I've just got there's too much going on, you know.
Yeah, it's
I feel
hard.
like now I've got Charlie and obviously he's my main priority. It's just, my mind is we're just frazzled.
Yeah.
The whole time.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 13 years. I just wish I could sometimes I wish I could have a different direction, not have a 9 to 5, because it's like trying to look after your kids and run a business. Obviously you've got a partner, I'm on my own. It's like they don't get my time.
No.
I will admit it. Like I've been very open about that for a long time. My kids really don't get my time and it's wrong, but then what do I do? I've got to pay my bills. It's such a...
You do get mum guilt constantly.
You do.
Because you can't do right for doing wrong, I think. You're trying your hardest to do one thing, but then you feel like you're missing out on them doing certain things. And then, you know, and that's only me having one, never mind.
I know. I mean, now obviously the older one, I've got Aaliyah. She's like really good with little ones, so she'll help out with them. So it's like I have got a partner. She's like my partner, which I feel sorry for because she's only 17, and obviously Aralo's hard work, but she's like my partner. Yeah. Like if I want to do anything, she has the kids for me. But God bless her, honestly, she is amazing. Like, you know, for like 17, she's a really good girl, but I don't know what I'd do without her.
No.
Not going to lie.
I bet she won't have it any other way.
No,
anyway.
I think sometimes at the minute with Arlo, she'd be like, no, I don't want to have him, but she just, you know, she's just like a mini me. She'd never want to let me down. But
no.
I mean, do you think like you'll go down a different route, or do you think you'll still stay with the online clothing? Or
well, now I've gone down a different route as well. So I've only had 3 months of my online.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's gone better than I ever thought it would. I thought, God, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be...
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I knew I were going to lose customers because you're going to do, aren't you, when people want to try on. People don't want to shop online. You know, we've had all that thing where everything is online now, but it is so easy to just be a click of a button and you've ordered or whatever.
Print your label off.
But then I'm thinking things with refunds, you know what I mean? All stuff like that. So to be fair, it's not been as bad where I've had more people come and collecting from me, from my house and stuff, my lifelong customers who I've had all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Rather than posting that much out. So far has been fine, but I just felt like I was just then a bit lonely.
Yeah.
You know, like I've gone from I can talk to anyone. I can talk
we've got her in that industry,
any amount of time.
Shop. Yeah.
And I've just gone from talking every single day of my life to really not probably seeing anybody because I just go in my little studio, do my thing, and then, you know, that's it. So it's just, I needed something else to do. So one of my friends approached me with a new job, and then I've ended up being there 2 days a week on reception, and so far I'm loving it.
Do you love that? Yeah.
I feel like everyone's kind of coming in and like my customers are coming into there and saying, my God, I didn't know you worked here or whatever. And I'm like, do you know what? I just love being around people. And it's so weird for me because I've only ever been on my own, me and my nana running my shop, to go in and working as a team is really weird, but nice.
Nice, yeah.
And like, everyone's like, God, how will you go from working for yourself? I've never done anything else, just working for myself for 12 and a half years and then working for someone. And don't get me wrong, it's been hard, like thinking, oh my God, I do actually work. I have to remember I'm working for someone. But I've only been there a month, but I do love it. I just love being around people.
Yeah, because
I think that's it.
Sometimes, like, obviously when you become a mum, especially a new mum, and if you've not been doing your shop as much, you get isolated, don't you, as a mum, to just be a mum, which obviously it's amazing. It's amazing being a mum. It's a gift, but you also need that bit of you as well, so you don't
100%.
lose you.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you're on reception and you're meeting all these new people, it's only 2 days a week. I bet you think, right, you walk out that door, nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
literally do
you do
Monday,
your job,
Tuesday.
you do your job, you do your job good, and then you're back to your family and you've got like no worries on your shoulder, have you? And it's a massive. I love to know how it feels.
I know, honestly. It's been like everyone said to me, when you shut the shop, you're either it's gonna be the best thing you do or worst thing you do. And so far it has been the best thing I've done, as in like I've loved what I've done all these years. I'd never change it for what I've done. But I just feel like that was the right move for me. Yeah. And like I'm going on holiday next week and I just can't wait to have nobody ringing me. I just can't wait to leave my phone in the room.
I'm so jealous right now.
I know. Can't wait to leave my phone in the room and just not have anyone bothering me.
Yeah.
You know, like my orders can wait. They all know that my online stuff can wait. They can't get the parcels for a week
just
or whatever.
Just a massive shift in responsibility, innit?
I know. And it has been a massive weight off my shoulders. I feel like I'm a lot less, and my nana who I worked with keeps saying to me, I feel like you're a lot less stressed.
Yeah.
You're a lot, you seem a lot happier and stuff like that. And
that's the main thing, innit?
Yeah.
It's all right, having a really huge, successful business, but it comes with it comes with a price, I think, and it comes with the price of you as being a mum. It takes away part of you as a person, part of your life. Yeah, it doesn't it? It really does, doesn't it? And I mean, how are you finding it being a new mum?
Yeah, challenging.
But it's 2 years now, isn't it? It's 2.
Oh, God, yeah, but it's getting harder as it gets older.
Yeah, you get through that baby stage, don't you? Think,
give me that newborn stage back.
Yeah, but when you're in newborn stage, you're thinking, oh my God, I want some sleep.
Honestly, I remember them. I mean, I can't say I remember sleepless nights because we are still having sleepless nights. Charlie is one of them who still does not sleep.
Right.
So it's very hard to kind of now, especially getting a new job, a proper job, working for someone on a sleepless night is quite hard, and then going and doing a 12-hour shift.
Yeah,
trying to be nice to people, and obviously having to be nice to people, forcing a smile because I'm absolutely knackered. But obviously wouldn't change it for the world, and it's all I've ever wished for. So it's like, but you do have them days no matter what. Like, my friends who've been through loss and stuff like that, who've gone on now to recently have babies and stuff, and they're like, oh God, I feel so awful, like saying that I need a break and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, you've just got to, you can't say that you don't need a break because you are not human if you don't find it hard.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
because you are finding, you've got to find things hard. You can't just think, I mean, hats off to you if you think everything is so easy.
Definitely not. I don't think anyone does. And if they do, they're lying to themselves just to get through
what
it.
I mean. And it's like socials and stuff like that. You look on there, you see on Instagram all these people painting perfect pictures of families and that, and obviously they're not going to put on the hard times, are they? And I absolutely love when I follow people and they put on like, oh my God, my 2-year-old, because obviously I've got a 2-year-old now, has done this, he's done that, and he's been like this today, and I'm like, oh, thank God it's not just mine, because it's
nice. That's the nice side of social media, seeing that and making you feel like, oh my God, like everybody's child's like that, not just mine. I've got it with Arlo at the minute. I mean, he's like 7, 8, going through this ADHD assessment thing, and obviously when you see him and you see his behaviours, people just look at him and think, oh, shit. Do you know what I mean? He's naughty. But some things they can help, I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things they can't.
Yeah.
And it is nice. I obviously follow a lot of people on TikTok who've like got ADHD kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, it seems to be the best place to look for things
TikTok,
like that, doesn't it?
Especially like stuff to do with parenting. Seems to just to be a lot more realistic than like Facebook and Instagram posts and, your perfect picture. I feel like people are more real and raw on TikTok.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, like, obviously, as a mum, it's like you try your best for your kids and they're all you ever wanted, but then you're also like, it is tiring. It is like, I get to a point sometimes where I think I can't go. I'm not going to lie. I literally, I can't. I feel like, what am I going to do? So I'm at that point right now. I'm like, what am I going to do?
And it must be so hard when you know that he can't help the things that he's doing, because it's not a behaviour that you're going to be able to say, right, stop doing that, you're being naughty now, because he genuinely can't help it.
I know.
So what do you do in that instance? But it's hard as a person not to get mad, because
it really is.
Obviously you're only human, so why would you not get mad when they're doing something but they can't help it? So what are you supposed to do? Like,
honestly,
I just think it'd be so hard.
It's so like we obviously all want, like, we all want kids. I mean, I've gone on to have 4, but it's like, it is hard work. They are worth it. They are precious. And my oldest boy, he's got ADHD still. He's 19, yeah. I mean, he were a twin, which obviously we were going to talk about. I had, and I can talk about it a lot easier now because it was like, he's 19 this year, but when I put, this is what I thought his behaviour was from. So when he was a twin, I went into labour and he were born, they rushed me down to have an emergency C-section because his heartbeat were erratic. They took me down, but they managed to get him out, and then his sister was still obviously just normal. I didn't know at the time, but I had trainee midwives in with me. I didn't know until after this assessment thing. And they basically put the fists in my stomach to stop her from going breech. But she come out breech anyway, but so did placenta. And basically they'd ruptured the placenta inside my stomach. And they just basically, I think they took about 15 minutes to resuscitate her. And it was horrible. It was a horrible time.
I can't even imagine. Like, I knew obviously that you had lost, but I didn't know in what way.
Yeah,
of course.
It were like and it were like he was £5.12 and she was £7.1. So she was very, very healthy. And it were, I mean, there's a lot of things I regret with regards to that. I did sort of, I feel like I can't say heartless. I was just like, right, some people walk out with no babies. I've got a baby. This is what I told myself. Yeah. This is why I think I've gone on to be, I don't know, I can't explain it. So when at the time,
your mechanism of coping.
Yeah, my mechanism were, right, I've got this baby here. Some people don't walk out with baby. I'm walking out with baby. I told myself that. I then didn't let them have a picture together. I regretted that. Yeah. I tried to just say that she wasn't there, like she wasn't my baby. Like I didn't hold her. I walked in a room when they obviously said her internal organs were failing after they've been on machine 24 hours. I let family come, so I lived in Essex at the time. And I couldn't stay in the room, like my ex-partner, Johnny, Elder, while she was dying. It was horrible. I walked in the room, I walked out, and there's just things you just regret. Like I do regret it now, and I think I do be like it's making me upset now. I don't really get upset now because it's been that long, but like in 19 years, there's so many things that I regret not doing with regards to that. Yeah. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I thought that because of that, and I obviously shut that down with her, it was horrible. I thought that's the way I dealt with it anyway. I didn't deal with it. No. I know that later on in life that I never dealt with that. Yeah. I literally had Angelo, he's called Angelo, Arlo's older, slept on me, held him so precious, like he was literally spoiled rotten, like I let him get away with everything. So I feel like I then thought to myself, this is why his behaviour problems is, this is why he's like this. I mean, it turns out when he was right, he had ADHD, he has got ADHD and he's still got it now. But I think I just blamed myself a little bit for that as well.
I know exactly what you mean with that though, because since I've gone on to have Charlie, we've literally, from the day that he was born, like he was 4 weeks early, he was £4.10, like he was just so small and precious, and obviously we knew that's all we'd wanted, but then have I done what I would have done if I hadn't have lost George before and my other baby before? I don't know. Like, would I have parented differently? Because now he's a very needy, and I know it's obviously his stage that he's going through, but sometimes from the day that he was born, and I'm like, oh God, like I didn't put him down. I just want him to be here. I want him to be on my chest. I don't want to not be near him because I was terrified that something was going to happen to him overnight whilst I was sleeping or whatever.
Yeah, same.
But obviously that's what you get in your brain because you think, God, I've got an healthy baby here that's here and he's living and all that, but what if something happens and he gets took away from me?
I'm exactly the same.
And I think that's only a normal thing, but then you think you've done wrong for doing for their behaviours now. You think, would I have done that if I hadn't have lost? I don't really know.
It's a weird one because obviously now, again, with Arlo, he had, it must be me and boys, then I've had 2 perfect girl pregnancies. Me and Arlo had a cord prolapse. So every time his head was touching the cervix to open, he was pressing onto the cord. I knew something went right. I just knew because I've had 2, obviously 3 more kids and I've had perfect pregnancies. I had a perfect pregnancy with twins, to be fair. So I'm just going to lie and tell the hospital that I'm having contractions quicker than I am. And I went Bassett Law because I like that hospital. So I went there and she was like, oh yeah, you are dilated a bit. We'll just break your waters anyway. Next thing, cord fell out, which meant his head went on the cord and he had no oxygen. So I had to have a doctor's rush in, put the hand inside me, hold his head off the cord, rushed me down to theatre, ended up with an emergency C-section, lost loads of blood. He ended up we both had infections. We had to stay in hospital both together for a week. And then I feel like I'm just repeating the same pattern. I thought you were precious, and you don't even know, because obviously ADHD is not something that's created from your parenting, but is it because of these traumas in birth? I don't know. It blows my mind as a mum.
Because they do say that stress is the worst thing.
Yeah, that can. It's the early days of the brain, isn't it? I mean, it's like as a mum, like I don't know. It's so hard, in it. Like I don't know. It's you can't. Sometimes you can't think you can't do right for doing wrong. Like there's no real book that tells you what's right and what's wrong.
No.
And then
I wish there were
and then you feel
giving birth for dummies and having a baby for dummies, because I wish I'd have had that from.
I know, same.
Because I felt like I brought him home and then I was like, oh my God.
What do I do now?
What on earth do I do with this?
I know.
We've actually got a human that we've got to look after now.
Forever.
Yeah.
Because it's not for my mum's still looking after me. I'm 41.
I know.
Nearly.
My mum literally checks on me like all the time, and I think it never ever stops, does it? It only gets different. Like
and you say it gets easier as they get older. I think it gets harder.
Everyone has said that to me.
It gets harder, and it's more.
Everyone's like, wait till he's a teenager, and like you're worrying about him going out, you're worrying about him doing this, and I think, God, like now it makes me realise what I was like when I was younger and how my mum and dad worried. And I used to think they were being strict because they wouldn't let me do stuff and that, but really...
It was for your own benefit.
Charlie's not going out anywhere. He's holding my hand for life.
Not this day and age now,
I know. That's what I mean.
And I mean, do you think you'll have any more? Because I will talk about it, because I have spoke about it, because you have had trouble leading up to Charlie, haven't you?
Yeah. Like, I think because I lost... obviously, first pregnancy, we went for the 12-week scan like you would normally, like obviously happy as Larry, go in for a 12-week scan. Obviously, the baby had no heartbeat when we were in the scan room. And of course, I'd had nothing happened to me to make me think otherwise, that this baby was not okay. So that's when they said about a miscarriage, which I never even knew existed, because obviously I've never had a baby before.
No.
And it's not something you even
not.
look at.
You get pregnant, don't you? You're pregnant. That's what you think in your head.
I think at school you were like, how many kids do you want? And you were like, I'll have 4 or something. And then you never even thought in your brain that anything would ever happen to that baby. So that was the first pregnancy. So obviously miscarriage. So I had to then have the operation, the DNA, to obviously take the baby out, because of course, there were obviously my body wasn't getting rid of the baby. So that obviously would just knocked us for 6, of course, and then managed to get pregnant after with George in COVID. It was literally, we found out the first month in COVID, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect, because we're not going to be going anywhere anyway in COVID. Like I'm not going to be worried. I'm not going to be really like working. I'm not going to be doing anything. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously this were in, I think we found out we're pregnant in March. All absolutely fine, but of course, because it was COVID, we didn't hardly see a midwife. We didn't hardly see, like my 16-week appointment that should have seen a midwife were over the phone. Like things were over the phone, and sometimes I think, would that have changed anything if we had gone to see?
Did you not have no scans?
You had like your basic scans,
but
that were just obviously 12-week, 20-week, and that were
it. And you were all right at 12 weeks?
Absolutely fine. So obviously. Carried on, got to 16-week, midwife rang, is all okay? Yeah, fine. Like, obviously,
feel great,
feel absolutely fine. Nothing to think otherwise. I had, my placenta were at the front, so they said, obviously, you're probably not going to feel many kicks. Because obviously they can't get through the kicks until they're big. So that never really occurred to me that I would think otherwise. Like, I started feeling kicks and stuff, but then never dropped off or anything, like just were normal. And then one day, I don't know what it were, like I just had a really weird feeling.
It's a mother's thing.
I had a weird feeling, and I thought, and I was sat and I was like, I know I was like it with Charlie when obviously I had my healthy Charlie, but I feel like that was because I thought with George that, do you know what I mean? But with George, I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I thought, do you know what? I don't know if I felt him this morning. Have I been really busy, like, and I've not thought about it, or do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to do. Like, so at this point, I was 25 weeks. And I rang triage and they were like, no, we're not concerned until 28 weeks. Like, drink some cold water, do whatever and all this. Blah, blah, blah. Basically, they wouldn't really see me. They wouldn't let me in. And I was like, right. Now being me, I would have, if that were me now, I would force myself to that hospital. I pay my taxes so you can see me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm not that kind of person.
And you just listen to them, don't you?
I'm not If you're not concerned, I thought, right, well, maybe they're not then. But I didn't know anyone that had lost before. So I would never know that would happen.
And you never think at that many weeks that anything.
Everyone says, get past them 12 weeks. So let's tell everyone we're all hunky-dory. And it's awful because now I'm not bitter towards anyone that thinks that. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But me who've lost later on, I just think, oh, God, you're just so silly. Why do you not think that it can happen?
Yeah.
Like, I know people that have lost, and obviously, like yourself, like, gone full term, and it's happened. Yeah. Like, it's not something that doesn't happen. No. It's just because people weren't talking about it.
Yeah,
now,
agree.
you only have to go on social media and everyone talks about it. And for me, it helped afterwards talking about everything. But yeah, so when obviously rang them, they wouldn't take me in, so I ended up paying for a private scan. So myself, like, luckily, I mean, what about people who can't afford to pay for a private scan?
Who are worried,
I just knew, I'd thought, I will not rest today if I don't pay for that scan. So luckily they managed to get me in, went somewhere local, and the lady who did it picked up all the things that he were fine with. Oh, yeah, his lungs are fine. His heart, not his heart, sorry, his other organs are fine. I went, is his heart beating? And she went, no. And that were it. So from the first time of going in, she was telling me all these things that were all right, but not saying, safe to say that obviously my mum rang after and said, like, you need to get a new sonographer because that is just horrendous.
Yeah.
And she just said no. And I were only with my mum because James were at work. Because why would you think anything would be wrong? I would just like, look, do you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm just going to check. And to this day, like, obviously he weren't there. And he's like, can't believe I weren't there. Because then he were like an hour or whatever away. He said, if I probably got 1 million speeding fines. I've probably, because I have just rushed here no matter what. Parked it in a doctor's spot and that's it. I'm with you. So I ran over to A&E. I didn't know where to go. I've never been triaged. Yeah. Ran over to A&E, they were like, you're not in the right place. So obviously I had to run round to Women's Hospital. Wow. They got me straight in. And I were like, I've just been over there for a scan. And they said that his heart's not beating. They were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, his heart's not beating. So,
oh, God.
But then they couldn't find a scanning machine. So I'm just sat there like, do you know what? I was completely numb. I weren't even crying. It was so weird for me.
Probably not.
I rang James, I rang James and I was like, I was just checking and I was like, his heart's not beating. And they were like, what do you mean? And it was weird because now I think back, why were I not crying my eyes out straight away?
You were just never...
It literally did not occur to me that this were happening. I just thought,
is this
real?
Yeah.
So obviously that happened. And then, of course, they said, obviously his heart's not beating. Of course, at this stage, you don't know why, like, which is the worst thing ever because why is there not... Who can I blame? And then you get sent home for 48 hours. So...
Shut up.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You get sent home 48 hours because obviously they need to give you something to obviously start the ball rolling with going into labour and everything. So for 2 days, I sat on my mum and dad's sofa just completely numb. Like, what does anyone even say to you?
My God, that's awful.
Obviously, they were just me, my mum, my dad and James. Like, and... I was like, I don't want anyone talking to me. I don't want any friends talking to me. I'll just turn my phone off. None of my friends had even known that this had happened. None of my friends even knew that, obviously, we'd lost him. Like, because obviously I'm not going to...
I can't believe that's what they make you do as well.
It's so what? Like, I just think...
It's like, why? They just send you home like that. Like,
they just send you home. Like, what are you supposed to even say?
Yeah.
My mum was like, what, do you want something to eat? I went, no, I don't want anything to eat. Like, I've still got this baby inside me. He's not even alive. I know. It's weird because I can talk about it all day, but I feel like when you go into actual detail, you start getting really upset.
Oh, yeah, really? God.
And sometimes you think, God, did that even happen to me? How am I still here? Do you know what I mean? But, yeah, you just sit there and then you have to go in after 48 hours and then obviously they send you into labour. So obviously then you have to give birth to him and that's the worst thing ever because you know, what do you even...
It's just not, I know, I can imagine.
And I've not got anyone around me to say what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I'm like...
Do you not have any, like, support? Do not give you support with it?
So there were a bereavement midwife who, obviously I won't say any names, but there were one bereavement midwife at the hospital, and after I've met all my friends through this, which I met on SAN's website, where you sign up and obviously it puts you in touch with local people. Yeah. That's where I met all my people that I speak to now. It was the same bereavement midwife for Doncaster, Worksop, all surrounding areas. She'd never even been around anyone really that had lost a baby apart from giving advice to someone. So she came after and sat on my sofa, obviously after everything, 2 weeks or something, and said, yeah, well, my dad passed away, so... And I were like, sorry, you what? I mean... I'm really sorry that that's happened to you, but do not try and relate this to me. Like, touch wood, I've never lost my family members, so I don't know the feeling of that either, but I'd never ever compare losing George to losing your mum or losing your dad or whatever.
No, definitely not.
But I thought, this is not the same. Like,
no.
Do you know what I mean? They've not had no life and they've been ripped away from you, and you're like grieving the life you should have had rather than their actual life.
And I've spending time with them. Yeah, that was like me. I don't think I ever grieved, but...
No. But I think the thing is with you, having the twins, you've had to be a mum there and then from the get-go. You've had no time probably to even think
about it, And I'd mastered it with Arlo, whereas if you... This is what I was saying to myself, like, obviously, like, some mums do walk out with no baby. Like, I had something to focus on. So that's what I did. Like, I don't think I dealt with it. I don't think there's any support to help you deal with it. I don't think there's anything in the system that helps you deal with it. Do you know when I went back to hospital and asked them why I'd trainee midwives, because I didn't know about it, they weren't allowed, they're supposed to get experience. So they said to me at my 6 weeks review.
It's disgusting.
Did
you take that further then?
No, I just couldn't, my head cut. No, so I'm saying it would just...
Yeah. So if that happened now, like, you'd probably...
Yeah, I would. But then do you know what my thoughts were? I can take it further, and I know it would help other people because maybe it had been a bit more, investigated a bit more, but...
Yeah, but it's not going to bring her back,
if you give me some money, what's it going to do?
I know.
What's it going to do?
That. I know.
Really? I mean, if she were here and she had, you know, something that she needed support with, and I needed the money for that, then yeah. But for me, it was like, they've done their investigation. It was an accident, really. Like, they can't help... As such, like, it's not going to bring her back. It's not going to make any difference to my life. But did you have to have a funeral and stuff like that?
We had to have a funeral. Like, they were obviously 2 weeks after and stuff. But I think it's just like the giving birth and that, and like obviously not knowing. Like, I were absolutely myself. Do you know what I mean? I was like,
and it's like, do you know
what do you even expect? I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what it's going to look like. What he's going to be. How big is he going to be? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was £1.9 when he was born. And obviously they came round, do you want to take pictures of him? Do you want to...
Yeah, they did that with me.
And I did take pictures on my own phone, and so did James. But I didn't have any family come to the hospital, nothing. We didn't have any family. I FaceTimed them all, but I said, look, I don't want you... I mean, now my mum will say to me, is there a reason why you didn't have us, you know... Because now we know people through loss, their mum and dads might have gone and visited their baby in hospital. But I said, at that time, I don't think you could have dealt with it. Like, I think my mum being in that room would have made me worse.
Yeah.
Because my mum's emotional anyway. And obviously she's going to be, like, it's the first grandchild that's being born. And I was like, I FaceTimed everyone. I took pictures on my phone. But then they said to me, do you want a photographer to come in? And I said, no, absolutely not. Like... That's not for me. I don't. It don't sit right with me.
That like me.
I don't want a photographer coming in acting like bloody having newborn photos. Like you have a photo thingy done.
Photo shoot,
a photo shoot done, and I was like, no, absolutely not. But I thought, I feel like I am going to regret further down the line not taking pictures of him to look at.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I met a friend who didn't take any pictures, and she lives with that every day that she wished she did.
That's like me with them little things.
I mean, I don't show them to anyone. I'm not one of them that will go on Instagram and post pictures of him. If I posted a picture of his hands, that's the most that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because his hands were just like normal baby hands.
Yeah.
But I'd never ever post a picture of his face, and James would never want me to do that either. It's only like last year or so that we've had pictures of him in the house as well, because again, I think it's harder for men to deal with. Like James were like, I think it's going to make me too emotional walking past him every day. Do you know what I mean? But then now, especially now we've got Charlie, I'm like, well, we would never leave him out. Like, we've got 2 sons. Yeah. And they've got the picture both together of obviously George and Charlie, and that's it. So, we had to have the funeral 2 weeks after. Again, we just had, like, my mum and dad, James's mum and dad.
Yeah, we did.
Again, felt awful because, like, I didn't ask my brother or out, but I thought, do you know what, this is not, like, it's not a normal occurrence.
No.
And I know my brother wouldn't have been able to cope with that either, you know. And
it's like, what
you
don't understand, do you? Like, the decisions that you make in that time, and you try and, like...
Well, I've never even been to a funeral. I've never even been to anyone's funeral.
You were 22 when that happened to me, you know. We're only 22.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, 22.
I just feel like it's just, how do you even think that you've dealt with
it? I don't know. Well, I was still a kid.
I've got through,
And it's just like, well, I didn't deal with it. That's what I'm saying. I feel like some of the decisions that I've made later on in life, throughout my life, have been because of that trauma. Because I never dealt with the trauma of it. I never dealt with it. I just focused on Angela.
And I think they come into the room and they give you a leaflet about a funeral.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you've just given birth to your dead baby. Or here's a leaflet, decide what you want to do.
I feel like there's just no compassion or understanding. I feel like those sort of circumstances should be people who have been through it.
Yeah. But this is the thing now. I mean, there's new bereavement midwives now and that at the hospital.
Oh, is there?
So they did a lot of fundraising for the bereavement suite at Doncaster Hospital. So at this time, obviously mine was 2020 that I lost George. I got put in a room where obviously I was just on labour ward.
Yeah, we knew
I could hear people, I could hear babies, I could hear everything. And they weren't even going to let my mum in at one point because it was COVID. And my mum said, you don't let me down, I'll force you down. Like, I will literally force my way through this hospital if you don't let me in with my daughter now.
Yeah.
And same with James's mum. Like, why would they not even do that? It's COVID. Who cares? You've just lost the
baby.
Can you imagine that in your life? Do you know? My mum said, if this happened to you, would you want your mum here? Because yes, you would.
Yeah, you would.
They're not just going to sit on their own, are they? So, and I thought, now when I think back to COVID and you get annoyed with all things in Parliament and that, what they did, and I think you weren't even going to let my mum into an hospital when I just gave birth to a dead baby.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of cities and that have the bereavement suites, which are designed for people who, of course, have lost. They're on their own. They're soundproof. They can't hear anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why is every hospital not made?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, they cost. I mean, the one at Donny cost 250 grand. In grand scheme of things, what's 250 grand
when they can waste
when they can
building
buy,
memorials not memorials, bloody statues in Doncaster Town Centre.
That's what I mean.
Bothered about.
That's what I mean. It's like it's just terrible. So they were fundraising for it because the trust would only put 150 grand in. So they had to fundraise for 100,000 to get a bereavement suite.
Wow.
Like, do they not understand how many people lose babies?
Yeah.
And how much that would help for your mental health as well?
Yeah. Well, it has a knock-on effect because they never look at the bigger picture. Obviously, a bereavement anyway is going to affect someone's mental health. Actually, being on a ward with other mums is going to have a massive effect on someone who's just lost a baby, which then has an effect on them later on in life, which then is more money to look after them later on in life because the trauma from that and the mental health, they just never look.
No.
I just feel the government and trusts and they just never look at like the bigger picture.
No.
And I think like a lot of it
there is people in Parliament, obviously, like thingying for, like they do to try and get things passed and stuff like that. And like, woman who I follow on Instagram, like massive with baby loss and stuff, and she's just passed, like, if you passed, I think it's 20 weeks or 22 weeks, you get a birth certificate now, whereas you didn't before.
Yeah.
No, you don't get one. Well, at 20 weeks, your baby's got limbs. Your baby is literally a baby.
Yeah,
like,
it is, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just think anything what's in your belly, what's formed as it's still formed as a baby.
It doesn't matter from day one
I agree.
Full term. Like,
I agree.
You're literally losing, like... Fair enough, in the early days, I mean, sometimes people will say to me, like, but was losing George harder than your miscarriage? Well, yeah, because obviously I didn't have to give birth to the miscarriage.
Yeah.
Like, I went down for surgery and I came out, I weren't pregnant anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Totally different.
That is,
it's totally different, but
you're
still a loss.
You're still losing.
It's still a loss and it's still
and people
your
will
baby.
talk to me, my friends who've lost, and they'll say, but it's not compared to you. And I'm like, but you don't need to compare yourself to anyone.
Yeah.
You just need to deal with your own loss.
Yeah.
And not... stop thinking, just because, it was very, very hard and I don't know how I've even done it, but you know, and then I think about people who've had it worse off than me. Like some of my friends who've gone through a very traumatic time in loss, like yourself.
I just think any loss though, like even Rebecca, you know Rebecca, don't you? Our Davey and Becky.
Yes,
They've had a couple of like angel babies, and that's really affected them badly. And I think people don't see it like that. They only see it sometimes as, you know, because it's the baby's a bit more older, or you know, it's still a loss.
And if you're going on to have a child, people think you're all right now.
Yeah.
You're all right now, you must be fine. Like, but me...
I think it makes it harder.
Oh, 100%.
I do think it makes it harder because... how can I put it? I'm not saying comparing, but it's like, there's always that...
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean, don't you?
I know exactly what you mean.
I think it's
early
harder.
Days, and like, Charlie was hard, like early days. He were very small, he were very fragile, he cried a lot, he did... You know what I mean? And all I thought, well, would George have been like this? And... Obviously, sometimes I do think that in hard times. I think, would he have been like this? Yeah. And it's awful to think that I'm thinking that. But that's just, obviously, you do, don't you?
Yeah,
because you do compare all the time when you've gone on to have another one.
Yeah.
And then it's awful because I think, God, if I did have George and George was alive, I wouldn't have Charlie now. And, God, your head's just scrambled. That's a bit like me,
because obviously when I had the twins and Angelo were born, within 11 months and 7 days, I had Aaliyah.
Wow, yeah.
And I thought to myself, God's going to give me a girl. And I just wanted a girl. I don't know, I know this sounds awful. I don't even know what I'd done if I had a boy, because I wanted this girl. And I know it sounds awful, like I needed a girl. Yeah. I'd lost my girl, I needed a girl. So I got pregnant straight away with Aaliyah. And I think, I think there's 11 months and 7 days between them. And I got my little girl. Yeah. And then I think, Aaliyah wouldn't be here if I had Khalees.
It is, honestly, I think when you have been through loss, it's just a constant...
And it don't go away. This is me, like, I'm 19 years now, and I can be absolutely fine, have my little moments when I'm throughout the year. When it comes to the birthday, the 20th of October, I literally have I'm having a meltdown over it.
And that must be so hard for you, because you need to be happy for your son.
I know.
Because it's his birthday. But obviously, your daughter's not here.
It's like, it's horrible. So I try to, like, I always put a post on for Khalees, but I always put one on before the birthday. Yeah. So it's a nice post for her before, and then one of them together, because I've only got pictures I have put pictures of her, but we're a full grown baby. Yeah. Like, she's obviously on ventilators and stuff, but she's, it's just I don't think anyone will ever understand. I don't think we even understand ourselves who've gone through it. So nobody who's not gone through it will ever understand loss like that ever. No matter whether it's 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 24 weeks, full term, like, you can never, as a human, get over it, or even sort of, you deal with it in your own way.
But your friends and that don't know how to deal with you either.
No.
I feel like they want to help you, but they just don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. They don't know what's going to make it better. It's not going to make it better, but you literally just need to be there. Yeah. And if your friend needs a cry, or they need to go out to get drunk, you know what I mean? It's like, I think just be there for your friend, because what more can you do? You can't bring them back.
You can't bring them back. You can't do anything. Change anything. You can't change how they're feeling, but you can help lift them up that little bit.
Just be present, I think.
Yeah, because some people pull back. Yeah. Because they don't know what to say and what to do. They pull back. Then that makes you feel even more isolated and alone.
And I've lost friends a long way, because I thought, you haven't been there for me when I needed you. My hardest time in my life, and where were you? Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes that shows your true friends as well. Yeah. Doesn't it?
But I think just be there. You don't have to do anything. Like, you don't have to know what to do.
It's just sometimes just a text.
Just
Are you
check
all right?
in. Like,
do you want to do something?
We could have gone one way or other. I could have gone. I thank my lucky stars every day that I didn't go down the mental health route. Luckily, it did not. Obviously, it affected me, but as a person, I just didn't go down that route. I could have done.
I didn't, but I think I have later on in life. Yeah. Me personally, but I didn't at the time.
No, but I just feel like some people can really, really let it affect them to the point where obviously it does affect everything they do. It affects them mentally and everything. I didn't, luckily, thankfully, I didn't. But I think I could have done. And where were all these people that, checking in on me to make sure I didn't? Yeah. Because
you find that though in life, throughout your life though, anything what goes on in your life, you do as you get older. As your
hardest times are when you realise who is there for you and who isn't. And
who's not. Who's there just for good times. Yeah. Not the bad times.
And I just don't get it, but But then
again, sometimes you not find as well, probably you, because you go on all these groups, you get more support and help from strangers.
100%.
Than people that have known you probably all your life.
100%. Like, literally, for me, I made my Instagram pretty much straight away, and I say that all the time, that's what helped me, because I talked to more people who obviously I reached out to them, they reached out to me, they still do it now, and say like, because at first when I had Charlie, obviously 2 years later, I was like, well, do I post him? Do I not post him? What about all my followers who haven't got babies who've lost?
Right,
do they want to see him? I don't know. Like, so I did actually put a post on when I first had him, and I never told anyone I was pregnant. None of my customers knew I was pregnant. Nobody knew I was pregnant. It were over winter, I wore scarves, like, and then obviously when I had him, everyone was like, whoa, where did you hide the bump? Do you know what I mean? I just did not want to speak to anyone.
Yeah.
And that probably ruined my pregnancy as well, because it weren't an exciting time for me.
And you lose
I wanted it over and done with ASAP. I wanted him out.
You wanted
your baby.
Him here. You wanted your baby safe.
And I knew that if I talked to people from early doors, like saying, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant, I'm 14 weeks or whatever, it was going to be a long old road, like, to see customers day in, day out, how are you?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not fine, but obviously I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I'm not fine.
Yeah.
So that was just my way of dealing with it. But
yeah.
when I first had Charlie, and I did put a post on Instagram with a trigger warning and all stuff, you know, and people were like, do you know what? I do actually love seeing him now, because you've gone through what you've gone through, but you've now got an happy ending, and that gives me hope.
Oh, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, at first I was probably a bit bitter when I'd had George, thinking, God, why are all these people on Instagram? They've all got babies, they've all got, you know, why can't I get pregnant?
You go through that stage.
But now sometimes I think, oh God, yeah, I best probably hold back, because my followers probably won't like that. But I've got Charlie and I want to shout in front rooftops now, and it's just like, it's so bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It's like, how do you get that balance of the people that you've followed through your lost journey, and now you've got your happy ending, but then you'll always going to have people that are going to sit there and be, you can't help that though. No. You know, but you'll have those people who you're actually giving hope to, who've gone through it, who are maybe still trying. So I always think just go with that. Yeah. Like,
but it's even things like thinking of him when people are on about getting school uniform and stuff like that. Like, he would have been 4 this year. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It would have been like starting to get these things. Yeah.
It never, ever, ever, ever goes away.
It's like, he was born on 3rd of September, and even then, like, what do you do on his birthday? I mean, I don't like the celebration as such, as in like celebrating a birthday, because he's not here. I don't want to celebrate, because why am I celebrating? But we will always do something as a family. Yeah. To obviously, it's his birthday.
To remember him.
Yeah, to remember him on his day. But I'm not one for, you know, getting a cake and stuff like that. That's not me. No. But if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Yeah, like, it helps some people.
Everyone can deal with the thing in their own way, can't they? And I think you've just got to go with the flow, how you feel at that time. Because
I agree. Everybody's emotions, and everybody deals with things differently, don't they? So you can't say to one person, right, well, I did this.
No.
Well, you can say I did this.
You can say what you did, but it don't mean they have to do it.
It don't mean that's going to help them at all. No. Like, everybody's just so... Yeah. It's just so different. It's just...
And like, I remember when I first had Charlie, and I had that 6-week check what you have to, obviously with postnatal and stuff, you know, with your doctor, and I cried for an hour and a half on the phone, and she was like, I think we need to get you some help. And I said, do you know what it is? I think I'm just grieving again. Like, I don't think I'm depressed. I don't think I've got postnatal depression as such yet. I don't feel like I have. I just feel like all my emotions that are coming out to you is because I've just had a baby that's healthy, but before I had
so you've had
a baby
both.
that wasn't.
That hard for you though, having both. Like,
very weird. Yeah. Very weird.
So it's like it's a really happy time, but then you've got the sadness of... It brings it all back a bit, or brought it all back.
100%. I did, because I were actually booked in for a C-section. So I had our consultant led all through my, obviously, Charlie's pregnancy. And he were absolutely amazing. He's left now, and it's going to break my heart if I have another one, because he's not there. And he literally got us through that pregnancy. I could have as many scans as I want. I could go to midwife as many times as I want. I was there 2-3 times a week sometimes. Like, I was like, no, I want a scan today. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel
Did you get like that through that pregnancy 100%, where you were so nervous? I bet what a nice pregnancy.
It was awful, but the fact that I knew that he'd booked me in like two times a week for a scan and that, I thought, right, I'm in again. Yeah. But with George, what happened was, in the end, obviously, when the results came back after 3 months, you have to wait 3 months for a obviously postmortem. I was dreading it. I'm thinking it's either going to come back nothing, which is going to be the worst thing ever. I need something to tell me, which people don't get that sometimes. They don't get answers, and it's awful. And it came back that he had hypercoiling, so which means basically his cord went like a hose pipe. So obviously when you kink a hose pipe, that's what his cord went like. So there was no oxygen flow. So that's obviously what happened. Now, if I'd have seen a midwife, if I'd have had regular scans, they would have seen the heartbeat or heard the heartbeat or whatever deteriorating.
Reducing. Yeah.
Whereas I didn't learn this until I was pregnant with Charlie, and I was going in, week out, panicking. And they were like, look, I know you're never going to stop thinking about it, but if that's going to happen, it's not going to go from 100 to 0.
Right, it's like yeah.
And I thought that's what happened.
Yeah.
I thought one day I'd wake up and there wouldn't be an heartbeat.
Yeah.
Now they've told me they would have known that if I'd have had regular monitoring. So obviously they couldn't blame it. They said it what it was basically or whatever. But I still think would it have been any different if I'd had regular scans?
Yeah, probably.
You know,
because they pick up on it, don't they?
Yeah, so
they pick up on it. That's why you have scans.
So that's why the head midwife at hospital said to me, like, I know you're terrified, but it's not going to happen overnight like that.
Yeah.
Like, if this is going to happen, and it might do, because the chances of it happening again are more when you've already had one.
Is it really?
Yeah. But it won't happen overnight. So we will monitor. So as long as you get to a stage where obviously he's developed in some way, if that were happening, we can get him out.
Yeah.
Like, and just hearing that was so much better, you know.
Yeah, a bit more comforting.
So yeah, I think it's just you just do you do you.
You do you. It's been lovely having you on, and I'm sure and I hope that this reaches anybody out there what's had infant loss or even in the early stages or later stages. But thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me, listening to me talk all day long.
I know we're just both like this, so much to say, but similar but different.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
A loss is a loss.
Yeah.
I don't care how many weeks it is, but
thank you for any loss is valid, so don't ever think otherwise if you've had an early loss.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think it's any losses.
I agree 100%. But thank you.
Thank you.